In this experiment, your goal is going to be to determine the identity of an unknown carbonate compound as either sodium carbonate or potassium carbonate, and you're going to do that by calculating the molar mass of the unknown sample. So molar mass, as we've discussed it, is the mass of 1 mole of a substance, or how many grams of a substance is equivalent to 1 mole. But another way that we can think about it is that it's also a mass to mole ratio. It is the ratio of grams to moles in any sample. So essentially what we need to do here is, for the same sample of stuff, we need to simultaneously know both how many grams are in that sample and how many moles are in that sample. So knowing grams is easy. We're just going to record that from the scale. So we're going to be taking a sample of our unknown compound and simply weighing it and recording its mass. So we have one of our 2 data pieces right from the beginning. And then we're going to be performing a reaction that will allow us to determine how many moles were present in that sample by stoichiometry. So the reaction that we're going to do is here. We'll be reacting the unknown carbonate with calcium chloride, and those undergo a reaction where one of the 2 products is a solid. So everything is starting out dissolved in water here. That's what this little AQ symbol represents, stands for aqueous, which just means that it's dissolved in water. So you're going to be taking your unknown substance and dissolving it in water and reacting it with this other substance, calcium chloride, which is also dissolved in water. When those 2 things react, you get 2 different products, one of which stays dissolved, but the other one, the calcium carbonate, does what we call precipitates and turns into a solid. And that solid is something that we'll be able to collect and weigh and use to do our calculations with. So once that solid is produced, we can collect it and record the mass. Since we know what this is, we know that it's calcium carbonate. If we know the identity of the product, we can determine how many moles of it we have. If we know the mass, we can use its molar mass to convert to moles. And then we can use the stoichiometry of this reaction to determine how many moles of the carbonate that we started with, of the unknown carbonate that we started with. So if we know moles of this, we can get moles of our unknown stuff, which is what we're looking for to be able to calculate the molar mass. So once we know the mass of our calcium carbonate product, we'll be able to use its molar mass to go to moles of calcium carbonate, and then we can use the coefficient ratio to go from moles of calcium carbonate to moles of our unknown carbonate sample that's either sodium or potassium. So this M is just kind of a placeholder for either sodium or potassium. And then once we've got that moles is going to go into our molar mass relationship. We recorded the mass of our sample at the beginning of the experiment, so we'll have that piece of data already for us once we've calculated moles. Grams divided by moles gets us the molar mass, and we can then simply compare our experimentally determined molar mass with the molar mass of our possible unknowns. Since we know that it's one of these 2 things, it's either sodium carbonate or potassium carbonate, we can calculate the molar masses of each of these to be able to compare our experimental molar mass to that and hopefully identify our unknown compound.